Phillip's Quest, Book 1, Winterfrost, by Dean Kuhta and Belinda Miller. Illustrated by Dean Kuhta. Narration and music by Michael F. Mercurio. Chapter 3, The Curse of the Red Witch. It was almost as if the Red Witch had been waiting for Great-Grandpa Tuber to leave this world. She had been watching and studying Twisted Oak and its annoying gnome inhabitants for a long, long time. She had watched many of them build up their misguided, pathetic courage and leave Twisted Oak to try to cross the endless gulfs to reach her marvelous castle in the snow, Winterfrost. Good luck. Before those fat little farmers arrived, no one, especially gnomes, had dared to live in her land. She liked it just the way it was. Silly, stinky, tiny, little curly-bearded gnomes would not do. The Red Witch sat on her throne in the tallest tower of her castle and watched those sad little farmers live out their pathetic lives through her frozen ice mirrors. Day after day she watched them, year after year. She had tried on more than one occasion, 645 times to be precise, to kill them all off by poisoning those big, red, stupid mushrooms that littered their grotesque land. But that stubborn Tuber family just wouldn't let it be. Drats! There was something about that Paulus Tuber in particular that she didn't trust. He knew something. He had a blue aura around him that, at times, would sparkle and dance. Every time he had planted a tater, an onion, or a baby carrot, it had glowed blue. She hated blue. Through her frozen mirror, the Red Witch had watched in disgust as some of the fat, little curly-bearded gnomes returned from their pointless 7-year journeys and told old Paulus the stories about her beloved Winterfrost. Most of the time, he had just laughed and munched on his blue tater chips. In her amazement, she had actually heard the fat farmer gnome say on one occasion, and I quote,
"I'd rather eat Polly's chips than listen to rubbish about some red witch."
"Ah, the nerve! That old Paulus, I'll teach him a thing or two," proclaimed the Red Witch in her madness. Coward that she was, however, she waited until Paulus was long gone before she said that. The Red Witch had hoped that whatever that blue sparkle was, it disappeared along with Paulus. She stroked the crest of her favorite horned red dragon. He purred and trilled like a pet cat. The dragon rolled on his back, hoping for a belly rub. "We need to take a ride, my scarlet beauty. Poisoning mushrooms from afar is not going to work any longer. It's time we visit this vile place called Twisted Oak. We'll go there under a guise, of course. Those stupid gnomes will never know. What color steed would you like to be, my scarlet beauty? Black as jet?" The dragon nodded in approval. "Very well. And so you will be named Jet." With a snap of her fingers and a flip of her head, the red dragon became a huge black steed with wings. His fetlocks looked more like feathers than fur. "We'll have to do something about those wings, my beautiful black Jet." She snapped her fingers again, and Jet's wings were disguised as an elaborate red velvet robe. "Perfect," he whinnied. "For myself? Let me see," thought the Red Witch, as she twirled a long, jagged icicle through her bony fingers. She turned to her icy mirror and didn't like what she saw. Her face, which had once been a creamy rose color, had turned to a pale blue. It was cracked and ancient-looking. She could see the veins below the skin, like cracks in a frozen pond filled with dead leaves. Her hair, which had glowed a stunning silver, was now nothing more than shards of dirty ice. How long had it been since she looked in the mirror? She turned away in disgust. "No!" she screamed.
"This cannot be."
With a snap of her fingers and flip of her head, the Red Witch transformed herself to the way she looked when she first entered Winterfrost, when she first met the Blue Witch, when he taught her how to turn flowers into silver and platinum that adorned her castle. He showed her how to make fields sparkle with emeralds and other gems. She had loved him, and he had left her. She had cried for 100 years, and her tears turned to frost. So many years had passed since their parting. Her bitterness had turned her icy cold, but now she was transformed. She looked back into the mirror and saw herself with her rosy red cheeks, creamy pink skin, and beautiful silver hair that shimmered in the sunlight with highlights of blue, indigo, and violet. She was dressed in a pale green silk and off-white lace gown. She placed a crown of rubies on her head and a large red ruby around her neck. She was magnificent. "I will be known as Queen Rose," Jet whinnied and pawed in admiration. "I will tell those fat little farmers that I am a queen from a land beyond Winterfrost, that I have come to tell them great news about Fallow. Unfortunately for them, however, I'll destroy that Frederick and his family and that vile Twisted Oak village. I'll make sure that Fallow never returns, and that fat little runt of a brother, Phillip, never has any tubers. It's time for all of them to disappear, just as the others did." With that, the Red Witch locked up the sacred book of necromancers with a crystal key and carefully hid it under the right wing of Jet, where she knew it would never be found. The dragon lowered himself to the ground and ever so gently nudged the Red Witch to his back. She settled on his back and guided him to the edge of the tower's balcony that overlooked her beautiful city. The witch peered down and marveled at what she had worked so hard to create. In the streets and courtyards far below, her devoted citizens rode atop dragons, insects, and dinosaurs. They worshipped her, and they loved her. At least that's what she thought. They had erected many monuments in her honor. Enormous golden pyramids and pointed obelisks glared up at her majesty and brilliance. She would never give this up or allow anyone else to take it from her. Absolutely not. Satisfied, the Red Witch gave Jet a firm kick, and the great dragon flew from the frozen castle of Winterfrost into an endless horizon of ice and tears. End of Chapter 3. This sample recording was taken from Chapter 3 of Phillip's Quest, Book 1, Winterfrost, and is the creation of Dean Kuhta, illustrator, co-author, and owner of Twisted Oak Press. The storyline and writing for this book was done in collaboration with author Belinda Miller, who brought Phillip and his friends from Kuhta's art to the pages of Winterfrost and beyond. Please look for Phillip at her website, belindamiller.me, and for the upcoming Phillip's Quest books, Above the Stars, and Across the Elusive Sea, as well as the Ragwort Chronicles. You can find Phillip's Quest, Book 1, Winterfrost, on Amazon.com. As Phillip would say,
Poots and Britches, happy reading.
Follow Phillip's friends on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and belindamiller.me. Narration and music for this sample was recorded and produced by Michael F. Mercurio. All audio content is copyright 2014. Text and illustrations, copyright 2013 by Dean Kuhta and Belinda Miller.